Okay, let's start. My name is Fermín Galán. I'm part of the Telefónica's team on FIWARE, and I will be the presenter of this webinar that is on the publish subscribe context broker generic enabler Telefónica implementation. As you probably know, this is a generic enabler in FIWARE that has two implementations. One implementation is from Telecom Italia, and the other one is from Telefónica. And the subject of this webinar is the second one, the Telefónica implementation. My presentation will be in three parts. In the first part, I will provide an overview of NGSI specification, and this will be provide the basis of the data and context management in FIWARE. In the second part, I will describe how we have implement the NGSI specification in FIWARE, showing you the REST API binding that we have designed and implemented. And finally, in the third part, that probably is the most interesting one, I will show you a demonstration on how our publish subscribe broker works. For the first part, I will use this some slides. The slide I have borrowed those slides from Juanjo, who is the chief architect of the project, but just to avoid misunderstanding, I'm not Juanjo, I'm Fermín, although the name of Juanjo appears in the slides. So let's start. This is a small index of the context, and the first part is about basic concepts in context management. Basically, the NGSI is a specification provided by the OMA standardization organization, and basically specify a way in which context information can be provided by context provider and consumed by application. In the NGSI model, what they provide is the concept of entities, which can be anything. They can be things in the physical world. They can be logical entities like application running in a computer, or in general anything. These entities has attributes, and those attributes has information, and the context is basically a pair of entity and attribute elements. To describe this in more detail, the NGSI specification provides these three concepts. The first one is the context element. The context element is identified by the entity ID and by an entity type. For example, we can have an entity type, room, and a particular entity, for example, conference room. This will be an example of that. Next, a context element has attribute, and those attributes has a name. For example, the temperature of the room has a type. For example, the temperature can be in Celsius degrees. That could be a type, and a value. For example, 25 degrees. And in addition, this is an optional part. The attributes can has metadata. A metadata is data about the attributes themselves, like for example specifying that a given attribute is an ID. So if it's an ID, the value cannot be repeated in other attributes of other entities, and this kind of thing. It's important to remark that NGSI doesn't specify too much the metadata. I mean, they provide a way of linking metadata with attribute, but they are not specifying which particular metadata element you have, as far as I know. Okay, so this is a very simple model, but it is at the same time it's rather powerful. So at the end you have as many context elements as combination of entities and attributes, And when you are using the NGSI model, at the end you are querying for those context elements. So at the end you are querying for example, the temperature of the room number 1, and or you are updating the same context element. So you can focus your operation in the particular element you want in which you are interested, and you don't need to do a global update or a global content. You can do it if you need, but it's not mandatory. We will see that in the demo. Okay, so the slides show another example, for example with a car, but well, I think that is pretty straightforward how it works. So you have a car, the car is the entity, and the car can have different attributes like brand, model, and so on, and there are events that change that information. For example, when the car is driven by the highway, then the speed of the car may change, so it will be an update of that attribute. Okay. There are 3 advantages in this model. The first one is that it's not linked to any data, any representation formally. So the NGSI specification from OMA is not specifying how that information is transferred. We have defined this in our binding, so in FIWARE we have complete this with a REST binding to specify how this information is transferred. And also in the OMA NGSI specification, they don't specify how the information has to be stored. This is open to specification, and in FIWARE we are not specifying that, so it's implementation of the generic label can do as they prefer. And although I can tell you that in our case, in the public subscribe broker from Telefónica, we are using MySQL database for that. In addition, it works with in general with any IoT format, for example from the sensor elements. So all different standard for representing context information could fit in the NGSI model. And in addition, is that the structure of the information we have enables optimal communication, in the sense that you only query or update what you want, what you need, not all the context you have in your application. So okay, this is more, let's say, sorry.
May I ask now?
Yes, of course. If you need, interrupt me when you want, and I can answer your question to the best I know. So please go ahead. Tell me.
Okay. Can you back one slide, please?
Yes.
Last one. Okay, this one. In the second point, you mentioned that the conceptual model can work with a standard Internet of Things formats like SAMSON. I mean, what do you mean here? Because SensorML is a way to represent some data models in the sense of sensors, right? And the observation of sensors. So, how the sensor observation are related with the events you commented on this conceptual model you mentioned here in this
okay, yes, you are right. It's a good point. In fact, I mean, maybe I have transmitted a wrong statement, that I'm not meaning that you can plug any sensor with any format and work with the NGSI model. What I mean is that you can easily adapt the format of sensor to work with NGSI. So, in particular in FIWARE, let me go to a slide showing the architecture. Okay, over there. Oh, sorry. Okay. Oh, sorry. I had to skip this very fast. Okay, this is the one I want to show you. So You can have two kind of sensor, let's say. You can have sensor that support natively NGSI, in which case you can easily plug into the data management platform of FIWARE, but you can also have sensors that are not using the NGSI model. But in this case, what you have is what we call in the architecture NGSI IoT adapter. That will be the way of integrating that sensor.
Okay. So the idea is to transform the backend data models into data entities managed by the fee management generic enable, and then the SAMSON Broker is more or less the exchange messages, right?
Yes, that idea. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
Welcome. You're welcome. Okay, let's go back to this part about the APIs. Okay, sorry, because due to the join me, this is not easy. I'm using two screens and I get the projection in the other screen, so sorry for this. Okay, so up to now I have described broadly the data and context model we use. Now I will tell you about the particular operation that can be done under the NGSI model. Okay, well, this is just a remark that we distinguish between the NGSI model that from OMA that provided operation, let's say, in an abstract way, and from the FIWARE NGSI. In FIWARE we have taken the OMA model as an input, but we have adapted to our particular circumstances, and we have in particular provide a binding to a concrete API, which is a RESTful based one. Okay, the basic operations are the ones that are shown in the slide. That are the query context and the update context. So we have the broker, and the broker can receive update context operation from a particular context producer. Thus, update context operation basically modify or set the values of the different attributes of the different entities. And at the other end, we have the context consumer that can query for that information. So in this sense, you can see the broker like a repository of context information. Okay, I think this is pretty clear. But let's move now to the next one. The next one is about registration. And this is an operation that can be used to tell the context broker that a particular context element is provided by a particular context provider. So look into the picture. We have an application that performs a register context operation in which the application is telling, okay, this is the URI of a given context provider. This one, the one in the left, which is providing a given attribute of a given entity. So in this sense, the context broker knows that this is the provider of that context element. So when a context consumer is querying for this particular data, the context broker knows where he has to go to get that information. Moreover, our implementation doesn't need, in some running modes, let's say, this query from the context consumer. It can be configured to do active pooling of the context provider we have been registered. So it has that information in advance, so he can provide that information to the context consumer that query for that. Okay. And of course, the application and the context provider in this slide are logical entities that can be implemented by the same process. So any questions so far? Okay. Another interesting operation is subscription. By subscription, an application can specify that he wants to be informed of context elements in some that any time that a given condition happens. For example, when the value of a given attribute of a given entity changes, or for example, each 5 minutes in a regular time interval. So we can see in the slide. This application is subscribing to a particular context element. So basically, it's telling to the broker that every time the data changes or the data or has passed a given interval of time, this consumer has to be reported. So this consumer is basically an URL. So when this happens, the context broker, when he knows that the value has changed or a given time has passed, a notify context notification is sent to the context consumer. The OMA NGSI specification support three types of condition. First, the on-time interval condition. That means every 5 seconds, 5 minutes, or whatever interval you specify, you want to receive the notification. The second kind is on change. That means that whenever the attribute change, notification has to be sent. And finally, the on value. On value means that when a particular condition happens in the value, for example, the value is greater than 8, you have to be notified. Currently, in our implementation, we implement the on time interval and the on change. The on value is not implemented so far. Okay, this is just a remark that what kind of thing can be queried. We can basically query for attributes, and there is a special kind of attribute which is called attribute domains. That is a way of grouping attributes together. For example, for geopositional coordinates. For example, we can say that the latitude is an attribute, the longitude is an attribute, and there is an attribute domain called position that is the aggregate of both. Currently, we only support simple attributes. The attributes domains will be implemented in a next version. Okay, this is also interesting things to know, that is we can build a federated architecture. I will not show this in the webinar for the sake of briefness, but I wanted to tell you that you have this possibility. So you can federate two brokers, and one of the brokers can be subscribed to the other broker. So in this case, what I'm doing here is that I'm subscribing context broker 2 to context broker 1. So as you can see in this sub ID 2, what I'm doing is telling the broker 1 that the broker 2 has to be notified each time the expression 2 happens. So the context broker number 1 will send a notify context in this in the moments or when the expression 2 is matched. We have another scenario for federation here, that is in the sense that we can set a context broker as provider or producer of information from another broker. So in this example, what I'm doing is registering context broker. Oh, there is an errata here. Let me fix it. Okay. No, this was right. This is the one I have to fix. Okay, and in this case, I'm telling the context broker 2 that the provider for a particular context element is context broker 1. So when a query from any consumer of broker 2 arrives to context broker 2, if that context element is this what, then the context broker will go to the context broker 1 and take it. Okay. So we can have several subscriptions. I think this is pretty. This is implicit, but I wanted to make it explicit. So the publish subscribe broker implementation we have is able to deal with several subscription. So and a given context consumer can be subscribed to different conditions. So there is no problem of that. And also we can have different context producer updating the same context element, and also we can have different context consumer querying for the same provider. So there is no problem for the broker currently to support this kind of scenarios. Okay. Let me, well, there is another, let's say, extended or useful operation that I will describe. This is the discover context operation. This operation is used to get information about which provider are providing what information. I mean, with this discover context, if I have registered some given context element provided by a given context producer, with discover context I can know which is the provider of a given context element. We will see that in the examples. Okay, and also we have this one. This is a variant of the subscription to context elements, but in this case I'm not subscribing to context elements. I'm subscribing to registration information. So for example, I can do things like, okay, I will like to subscribe to context provider of information about the conference room entity. So whenever somebody register a context producer for that room, I will be notified. Currently, this operation is not support, but well, the NGSI includes. Okay, this is, well, I will go over this because we will have it in detail next. And to finish, I will just to show you how the context broker fits in the FIWARE context management platform. This broker can be used standalone. I mean, you don't need all of this to work with it. You can start after this webinar. Hopefully, you can start using the GE. You can download it, and you can use the already installed instance in the FIWARE testbed, and you can do it standalone. You don't need any other GE. But if you want to build more complex application or more complex scenario in FIWARE, combining other GEs, this is the way in which the publish subscribe broker connects with other elements in the data platform. So basically, this is the context broker. You have context source and in this part, and you also have applications that are subscribed to context or are using that context information. And from the context broker, you can inject that information in the complex event processing, or you can inject in the big data analysis processing platform. So they can process this context information, and at the same time they can inject new context information on the broker. So we have a kind of loop there and a kind of loop there. But as I mentioned before, this is not mandatory. This is just a way in which you can combine that. Okay, so that ends this part of the presentation. So this is a good point to formulate question or doubt or comment. If you have any comment or question?
Yes, I have a question about the subscription. So if an application subscribed to some event, so he is notified when the event occurs, and what is the protocol between the event, the context source?
Okay, so you mean the protocol or used to send the notify context message?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, well, this question will be answered in a minute, because I will show you the particular message that is used. So I will show you in the demo. So please hold on your question, but because I think that it will be covered in the next part. Okay, so well, let's look to the. I will describe the concrete interface. So I mean, up to now we have I have been talking about ASTAT operation and a lot of boxes sending messages to each other, but how this is at the end implemented. Okay, so everything starts with the catalog. So this is the main entry point to all the information about the publish subscribe broker, and it's very easy to get that information. So this is the web page of the catalog that you probably know. The catalog is the place in which all the generic enablers in FIWARE are located. So I mean the information of the generic enabler. So you go to the enablers tab, and you choose the data context management because this is the chapter to which the generic enabler belongs, and you have the different generic enablers of the chapter, and you will see to once, because as I mentioned at the beginning, there are two implementations. The context awareness platform is the implementation of Telefónica, of Telecom Italia, that is out of the scope of the Webminar. Telecom Italia is doing other webinars for their implementation, if you are interested in them. And this is our implementation. SAMSON Broker is the name of the publish subscribe context broker that we use that has been implemented by Telefónica. So if you click here, here has all the information for this enabler. So you have an overview in which you can see what you get with the enabler, and well, as a brief summary. And this is in this part you have the open specification of the GE in the FIWARE wiki, and you have the links to the API specification. That is what I will describe next. So basically, this is like a binding from the OMA NGSI, in which we specify with particular how in particular we are using the NGSI. So basically, we are using RESTful approach, using HTTP 1.1 for transport, and we are using XML. JSON serialization is on roadmap, but it's not up to now. And basically, what we have in the REST operation, you have two kinds of operation. You have convenience operation and standard operation. So I will focus on standard operation because are the ones that directly map with the OMA NGSI operation. So here you can see the different operations that I have described during the first part of my talk. In fact, the NGSI is split into two sub-specifications. We talk about NGSI number 9 and NGSI number 10. So, and they are described in separated pages in the wiki. But so for the query, subscribe context, update context subscription, subscribe context, and update context operation, they belongs to NGSI 10, and the other one, register context, discover context availability, and so on, belongs to NGSI 9. So for this operation, basically you use the post verb. They are described next in the wiki. We have that. So you are using the post verb against a particular URL, and you have to specify a payload with the information that be required. We will see that in the sample. So I will, when I show the sample, I will show you the particular cases of payload that you send with the post. The same for the operation in the NGSI 9. There you have the different operation, all use post verb. And well, depending on operation, you will specify a different XML payload. So there is another kind of operation, the ones that are marked in yellow in the wiki, and we call this convenience operation, because they are convenience in the sense that if you want to let me start over. The standard operation has the problem that you have to specify a big payload with a lot of parameters, and when you want only to touch a particular attribute, a particular part of the payload, can be hard. I mean, for example, you have an entity that has 20 attributes. It could be very interesting to have a way of going directly to one entity and one attribute in some operation. So that's the way the convenience operation works. In this convenience operation, we have to find a resource tree. So we have, for example, context entity is a resource that has an ID. Each ID has attribute, has a name. All this is encoded in the URL in the typical way of working with REST. So you can add to those resources in a crude way. So you can have get to read, post to create, put to date, and delete to delete. Okay, this. However, what is implemented now in our implementation is a standard operation. So what I will show you is a standard operation. So that's the reason, because I'm not paying too much attention to the convenience operation. They are defined in the wiki, but currently we have not implemented them yet. We will do that in a next release. It's in our roadmap, but not yet. So, okay. So, any questions so far?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, please.
Boris, Telefónica. Is it a publish-subscribe interface part of the bigger SAMSON platform and as an additional interface, or is SAMSON platform dedicated specifically to publish-subscribe?
When you mean SAMSON platform, you mean the big data platform?
So it is a part of the platform. So it is extension for big data platform, right?
Not exactly. Well, currently the SAMSON Broker and the SAMSON Big Data share the name, the SAMSON name, but the interrelationship of that is what I shown in the slide. Let me go over there. Okay. So this will be the SAMSON Broker, and this will be the SAMSON Big Data Platform. So the idea is that you can inject information from the context broker to the Big Data Platform, but from the point of view of the broker, this is like an independent context consumer. So for him, there is no difference of the SAMSON Big Data or any other application consuming that information. Up to now, and as far as I know, I will need to check that with my team, but as far as I know, there is no special connector or special interface to connect to the big data. But probably we will do that in the future, because well, it will be interesting to have a tight integration between the context and the big data engine that can process that context. I don't know if this answers your question or.
Yeah, that's fine, exactly. That I understood that the name is shared, but it is not the same.
Okay. Any other question? Okay, so let's move now to the demonstration. And to do the demonstration, okay, what I have is the SAMSON Broker running in my environment, in my computer. Okay, so I will need this one, and also this other terminal. So basically, the SAMSON Broker it runs as a binary. When you get the component and install it, what you get is a binary that you will run, and this is a process that is listening a given port, affecting operation, and behaving as I tell you regarding the different operations. So we can see the usage message, in which we can see. Let me make this bigger. We can see the different options we have to run the component, and probably the most important one is the port, because this is the port in which you specify in which the broker is listening to. So we can start with this this command. 1 second. Okay, so with this command, basically, I'm telling the broker that listen to port number 1026. We are using two switches that are not typically used in production, but they are useful for demonstration purpose. That is the foreground switch that runs the process in foreground. If you omit this, what you will get is running in diamond mode in background. And also the reset. Reset resets the database, the context database. This is very danger in a production environment because it will rip out all of your data, but for demo is okay. Okay, so basically now the broker is listening, are waiting for connections, or for operations. But before starting using it, I will show you, well, it's a small command that can be used to check that the broker is working fine. That is to send a GET request against the version URL. I will use the curl command during my demo. I don't know how much of you know this command. Basically, the command is a way of running an HTTP request from the command line. There is another alternative, of course. You can also use the REST client. Will be another very interesting one. But well, I use it in core because it's more convenient for me. And basically, what I'm telling here is to send a GET HTTP request against this URL. That is the local host, which is the host in which I'm running the broker, and the port, which is the port that I showed you before, and version. And this is XML int command is just for getting a pretty format XML output. So this isn't part of the command. It's just to format the output. And if I do that, what I get is basically, well, a small XML fragment telling you that the broker is working properly. If the broker will be down, for example, or not running, you will not get this one. So it's a very good way of doing a sanity check of the component. So what more? Okay, database. As I tell you during my presentation, the broker is using a MySQL database. I can show you a bit regarding this. So the database I'm using is also a local host, and this is a command to show the database in the server if you are not familiar with MySQL. And this is the database we are using. By default, the broker uses the PSV database, but you can override that using some switches in the command line. The command line, if we go back to the command line, we have the DB host to specify the host of the database, the DB user to specify the user, and DB password to specify the password, and the DB to override that. But by default, you will use localhost PSV user with password PSV, I think remember, and DB PSV. So all is PSV. And you can see that this involves several tables. So this is the way in which the broker structures information. But from a user perspective, you don't need to know much about that. So the broker will use the table as they need. But it's good to know at least that this exists. Okay, so no more database by now, and let's start doing some operations. Okay, the first and basic operation in which you will use to start using the broker is the register operation. By registering operation, as you remember, is the operation that is used to tell the broker that a given provider is dealing with a given information. So let's have a look to the parameter of that information. The parameter, given that we are using REST, and in REST you have different ways of you have different ways of giving parameters. The one we have chosen in our binding is to use the payload of the message in the form of an XML, And okay, this is a registration XML in which basically you are telling that you have two entities, an office room and a conference room entities of type room, and for those you want to register the temperature attribute. Temperature is an attribute of type degree, and it is not a domain attribute, because as I told you before, we are only supporting this release the simple attributes, not domain ones. And you specify the providing application. Providing application is the URL to which the broker will go when he needs to know the information, the context elements on these entities and this attribute. And also you specify a duration. Duration is how long this registration will long, because registration can expire. So how do you send the register operation to the broker? By using the register context operation. So to do that, we use curl as in the version sanity check, and this is a little more complex curl statement. Let me do that. Okay. So basically, this is the URL we are using. Note that the URL we are using for the operation. You are using NGSI 9 because the operation belongs to NGSI 9, and the register context. This register context, sorry, oops. Well, it's difficult to highlight. Okay, the register context operation is the same that is described in the wiki. So all the operation, and I'm showing only this first example, but all operations that I will use during the demo are documented in the wiki. So in this particular case, we are using register context. Okay, next we specify we are using the post verb, because by default you will use get, that we are providing XML payload, and this is a funny way of telling that we want to use the register XML as payload. And again, we have now the format to format the output. Sorry, because I think this, okay, this is the right one. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, so what we have get as response? As response, we have get just a registration ID and an assessment of the duration. This registration ID is a reference that we will use to for example, update the registration or that kind of thing. But if you are programming a client, you have a way of linking one operation with other. Okay, and currently what we have happened is that the broker knows that there are two entities, two rooms, which temperature is provided but a given URL. So let me show you an interesting side effect of this, and is that you are seeing this kind of, this is the terminal showing the broker output. This is basically a log of the different operation, and you can see this kind of message that you will think that it could be an error. But why is happening that? This is happening because by default the broker is trying to get by pulling the information of the different provider they know. So if you have registered a given provider which URL, if you remember was this one, they will try to connect to that. Of course, this is a fake URL, so this is the error is that they can connect to that. You can avoid that using a switch, that is the pull switch. With the pull switch, you specify the pulling interval, and if you specify pull 0, you will disable this feature. So we will do that because in our case we are not using real provider, so this is better for our demo. Okay, given we have restarted the broker, we have reset the database, we will register again. So we are in the same point that before. So okay, we have registered the element. The next operation I will show you is discover context availability. So let's see the parameters that this operation use. In this case, this is an operation that is used to get information about the context provider of a given context element. So in this case, I'm telling to the broker, okay, broker, tell me which are the providers of the office room entity for the attributes temperature, occupancy, and life status. So we do this operation using this call statement, and in this case it's the same that in the previous case. The only thing that we have changed is the payload and the operation. In this case we are using discover context availability. Okay, so let's issue that, and this is the output we get. This is a bigger XML in this case, and basically what we are what the broker is telling us as client is that for the office room that we are asking for, the temperature attribute is provided by this URL. Note an interesting thing, that is that in the request, in the parameter, I have specified 3 parameters. So the broker will try to find the provider for all them, but and only reports what they know. So in this case we don't have like a status or occupancy register, so it returns temperature. Note that if you will remove this from the query, and this will the way of doing using an XML comment, and we repeat the operation, in this case we get a different message, which is that no matching entity attribute. That means that the broker has not been able to find a provider for the office room like status or the office room occupancy, that are the only attribute that we have less in the query. Okay, so I think that is quite straightforward, and this is quite, let's say, common sense, no? Okay, so what else? Okay, the next one operation is query. So by now, okay, we have registered the providers, but now what we want is to use those context elements. We want to query and update that. So we have a query operation that basically is similar to the discover operation, but in this case we are asking for the attribute, not for the provider of the attribute. It's a subtle difference, but I think that is clear. So in this case, the parameters say that I would like to query for the temperature and pressure attribute of the office room. And if I do that operation, let's do that with this statement. In this case, this is the note that we are using an NGSI 10 operation, which is called query context. So now we are. This is in the 10 part of the specification, and in this case, what we get in the response is well, we have the room, office room, and this is the attribute that you have query for, temperature. Note that we will asking for 2 attributes that are temperature and pressure, but it happened like in a discover. The broker only will respond for those attributes that he knows. And in this case, note this is also interesting. Context value empty. So there is no context value, and this is coherent because up to now we have done is registering that the temperature is a attribute, but we don't have provide any update of that context, so the broker doesn't know which value it has. So it only can report that the attribute exists, but not the value. We will see how it changes when we update the attribute. And also, well, note for example, if I again remove the temperature for the query, and if I query again, well, in this case, what we get is that okay, there is an entity called office room, but the context attribute list is empty because the attribute they have left, that is pressure, is not part of the attribute that the broker knows. But compare that with the possibility of removing all them. So this is a query in which I don't specify any attribute. So what will happen in this case? Thus, what will happen is that in this case, when I don't specify any attribute, the broker interprets that with in the sense that it will return all the attributes it has. So in this case, it returns the temperature, but it will have 5 attributes. It will have returned all them. Okay, so next one is update. We have query, but now the the next one is update. With update, basically I'm changing the value of a given attribute. So in this case, what I'm saying is that, okay, I want to date in the office room the temperature with the value 43, and this is an update. We will pay attention to the update action next, but by the moment, just to tell you that there are different kind of update, and this is an update of type update. Okay, so I will issue this one. Okay, and the response contains the attribute that I have update. Not very interesting, but because my purpose is not getting that, I know that is 43 because I'm telling you that I want to update that. But okay, just to remark that. And now, if we do the same query that before, this is the same query, exactly with the same attributes and the same parameters. In this case, the difference is that I'm getting the context value 43, because remember that before we have an empty value here, but now we have 43 because we have updated that, and the broker is aware of that. If we repeat that date, for example, we provide a 45, resembling that the temperature is rising. What we get with a query is a current value. In this case, I'm sorry. No, because I have modified the XML file, but I haven't do the date. I have to do the date to tell the broker that we want the temperature to set to 45, and if I now do the query, now I get the value that is 45. Okay, what happens if I want to add a new attribute? So what happens if, for example, I would like to add a new attribute that is pressure? So we can do that with update, with a special kind of update operation. So imagine that we want to update a pressure operation for the office room in pascals, which is a pressure unit, if I remember correctly from school. And which value is to 2000, and in this case, instead of using update, we are using append. Append means that if the attribute doesn't exist, I want to add it as an information associated to the entity, which is this case. So in this case, if I do that and append this value, sorry, no, it's not the result that I expected, because okay, it's not. I'm doing again the same operation, but now with a different parameters. And if I do the query again, and remember that our query will return all the attributes, because if I don't specify attribute, I will get all them. So if I repeat the query, this is the query. What I get is both attributes. Remember that previously I only get the first one, the temperature, but now I'm getting the two ones, and the pressure attribute that I have just append. Okay, so this is basically cover registration, discover registration, update and query, and well, with that information you have now basic understanding how you do simple scenarios of the broker. But we have not finished yet, because there is another interesting and powerful feature, that is the subscription feature. So to do subscription, that basically tells the broker to notify when something happens regarding the data. Sorry, I will need another terminal. Okay, this is the terminal. Okay, and in this terminal I will run a dummy application that basically is a port listener. So basically what I run is a process that runs in port number 1028, and basically what it do is printing by the terminal what it receives. So it's a very useful way of demonstrate how the subscription works. So how it works? Well, it works using the subscribe context operation, and this operation has the following parameters. Okay. So in the parameters I specify to which context element I want to be subscribed. In particular, in the entity office room, I would like to be subscribed to pressure. Next, I will provide the reference, which is the URL to which I will send the notification when the subscription condition happens. I also specify how long the subscription will be held. In this case, I specify that I want a subscription 3 minutes. And this is the condition. There's different conditions. I will show you two ones. As you remember, we support on-time interval and on chains. And this first subscription example is using on-time interval, and basically is telling that I want to be notified of the value of the pressure of the office room each 4 seconds. So, if I do this operation, okay, we are using the subscribe context operation with the payload or the parameter that I have just shown. Okay, it returns a subscription ID, which is important to do a modification or cancellation of the subscription, and also remember us the duration. And if we go to the screen showing the output of the application, if I remember where I have put it. Okay, here it is. You can see, sorry, because in this case we have not we don't have any pretty printing, but you will see that each 4 seconds. Sorry, no, if 4, I don't remember, 5 seconds. If 4 seconds, right? If 4 seconds, we'll get a notification in which we have the pressure and the value of the pressure. So, and this is coherent because if I modify the pressure, for example, I have here an update payload. If I put, for example, what 9,000, and I do the update of that, okay, what will I see is that in the subscription we have changed from 200s to 900s. And more finally, if I wait for a bit, this notification stop of being receiving, because if you remember, I tell that I want the subscription for 3 minutes. So if we wait 3 minutes, this will stop. I don't know when we started,
the caller,
and I think we have lost it in the scroll. Well, I will stop it because it don't make sense to wait more time. So if I want to cancel, to remove a subscription, I use the unsubscribe operation. We have a payload which is very simple. It's just the ID of the subscription that is returned in the subscription operation. So in this case, let me remember what we have get. Okay, this is the one that we get a moment ago. So I have to use that in this file, because the one that I have previously probably is due to another test I have done in the past. So if I do that, basically I have to do the unsubscribe operation. This is a new one. This is unsubscribe context operation. And well, this is telling basically that okay, you have been unsubscribed from it. Okay, so this is for unsubscribe, for on interval subscription. There is another kind of subscription that is on chains. So let me show you which kind of parameter you have in this case. Basically all is the same. The context element I want to be subscribed. In this case I will use temperature. The reference to be notified, which is the same do me process that before. Let me clear the screen. We want this for an hour and on change. In the case of on change, I'm not specifying any other parameter for the notification condition, because on change itself is telling that all the information that is basically that I want to be notified when temperature changes. So let's do that. Again, we use the subscribe context operation. This is the same operation that we have used before, but in this case with a different parameters, as you can see here. And okay, let's do that. We have here the confirmation that everything is okay. And in this case, note that in differently from on interval, I'm not getting anything in the application, in the subscriber application, because the value has not changed. So let's do a change in the attribute to see how the application will be notified. How do we do this change? We have seen during the webinar is using then the update operation. So if I change the temperature to 5T for example, and I redo the update operation using that parameter that I think is in the scroll in the history in some point. Okay, update 10, this one. Look at that. I have modified the temperature, and the broker, who knows that it is a subscription for changing that context element, has notified to the application subscriber, and is telling that temperature is 50. Note that if we repeat the same update and again, there is no more notification in the application. Why? This is due to, well, we are not changing the value. We are doing updates, but we are setting the same value all the time, that is 50. But if we modify the value and use, for example, 55, and I do again the update, then I will get another notification. So to summarize, we have seen how you can run the public subscribe broker, and we have seen how to use it. We have seen the register operation, the discover availability operation, the update operation, the query operation, and how the subscription and notification work. So with that information in hand, you all what you need to do a basic usage of the broker. So to finish, let me go again to the page in which all this is available. In this page, you have the documentation of the broker. This is just a small, let's say, demo of what can be done, but you want the complete reference. You have three documents. And I think the most important one, and the installation and administration guide, which tell you how to install and administrate the GE, and the user and programmer guide, which contain another example of usage. We also have a unit testing plan, but I think it's not. They contain a set of tests that you can run on the installed component to assure that everything is okay. But I think that it's not mandatory to or very necessary to use that. Of course, if you are browsing to those documents, if you have any feedback, any comment, that you think that there are something important missing, or you are trying to use a given feature and you don't find information in the manual, please don't hesitate to contact me to that, because for us this is very good to update our documentation. And the same applies to the component itself. If you discover bugs or you discover unexpected behavior, please tell us about that. We have a support list for users. This is it's highlighted in the screen, but it's SAMSON Broker support at list.FIWARE.eu. So you can send emails to that, and you can subscribe to their information. And in this place is where we also tell important information regarding the testbed. And now that I mentioned the testbed, let me also tell you that you have two ways of using the public subscribe broker. You can download it and install it in your local computer, let's say, and this is the link in which you can get it, but also you can also use several instances that has been installed in the testbed. They are an instance for each use case, so if you belong to a use case, you will know which instance is what you have to use. And basically that's all. So if you have any comment or any question, I will be happy to answer them.
Yes, this is Raul Santos from Iberian Security speaking. The slides you presented in the beginning, are they available anywhere?
I'm not sure if they are available right now, but I think that the idea of the webinar organization is that every slide in we are using, all the presenters in the webinar will be at some moment available. So I think that will be communicated to you in the FI-WARE training mailing list.
Okay, thank you.
So I have a question again on the notification. How does the provider send the notification to the subscriber? Is it a REST operation or?
Okay. Sorry. So your question is what kind of operation is? Okay. Let me go into the details. Is it a REST operation? Is it using the post verb? And which payload is this one? So as payload, the notification has basically the context element and the value, and it's not shown here because this is only the payload, but we are using REST, we are using HTTP, we are using post, and the URL is what you have used in the reference attribute. Sorry, in the reference parameter. Sorry. So basically the broker will send a post against this URL using this payload. So any other question? Okay, so if there are no more questions, I think we can end this webinar. So thank you very much for your attention. I hope that it will have a good and interesting time for you. And if you need anything or have further doubts, comments, or problem with the component, please don't hesitate to contact to the support broker, SAMSON Broker mailing list. So thank you very much and goodbye.
Thank you.